So I'm not really sure what I'm going to be speaking to here. So I'm just going to begin by introducing myself. My name is Chloe. I often go by the name Glowy too, which is very sweet and speaks to my star lineage, my star aspect, and also the frequency and the energy that people receive or perceive of me. So yeah, that's me. I was born in England. I'm half Australian. I grew up between both countries. So I come from, and I'll say this first because as everything that I speak to, it's important to know that where I come from and what I was exposed to. And so I was born in, really lucky, fortunate places, and my experiences come from there. My learnings and my teachings have come originally from cultures and perspectives of privilege, is what we can be honest about. And I recognized at an early age that there was more to the world than what I was being told, what I was seeing, and what was out there. I was quite fortunate that I had a diverse range of friends. So in the UK, we are lucky and fortunate that there are people from many cultures and experiences and life walks. So yeah, it wasn't as if I was completely closed off. But I was being taught in my schools and at university that the mind and the personality and the person forms based off a few things that came from people of certain socioeconomic and cultural backgrounds, and that just didn't really feel right. And at the same time as I was learning all of this, I was lucky enough to be exposed from a young age into the spiritual community. Back then it was all very woo-woo, but now it's very widely accepted, and it's a melting pot of Eastern and ancient philosophies and traditions and practices, and new channels and downloads and information coming through. And yeah, it's fascinating to sit in the middle of everything. And so I learnt to see from past and even further past and present the way that we as people operate and develop and live and interact with ourselves, with others, and our environment beyond us. And it just took me on a beautiful journey of self-knowing. It has been a process of unlocking myself. I felt from quite a young age, and I became quite aware that I was very much trapped within myself in these limitations and restrictions of my mind mostly, and feeling out of place and alone in the world and not really sure how to operate. And I was feeling things and sensing things and having beliefs that a young person really wasn't encouraged or exposed to. For example, I didn't want to eat meat from 7 years old because I felt the animals in the farmyards that were around me. I felt compassion towards them, and I felt an injustice in the way that we take babies from their mothers to eat them. But that's another story. So there were these things going on. I was perceiving the world in quite a sensitive way, and I struggled to focus and maintain myself. Later on, being diagnosed with ADHD, not a surprise on reflection, especially with the friends that I was connected with and the way that I interacted in such a high energetic and impulsive way. And the way that information filtered through me, and I could pick up and perceive things that other people weren't connecting or becoming aware of, and it was different. I just felt different, and I couldn't conform to the normal mainstream ways of schooling and society, and I felt like I needed more freedom, and I needed more flow, and I needed more awareness of my cycles and my turbulence at that time, which I now understand and have honed into cyclical rhythms, especially as a woman. So yeah, I really struggled for a while. On top of that, we had family difficulties. We traveled between different countries. I moved to a lot of different schools. So I had my levels of little traumas on top of neurodivergence. And with this going on, and especially shifting between two cultures as a child, which you may think England and Australia are basically the same, there's so many nuanced differences that the mind takes some time to understand because of the subtleness of the cultural differences and just being there, especially when it comes to like diversity and way of living. England's an cold and internal country. Australia's, where I was outdoors and connected to nature, and then I had to come back and retreat inwards again. But I was meeting culture in a different way when I was in the UK that I wasn't meeting in Australia as a child. Fortunately, my mom was gifting me opportunities to receive Reiki, to play with the crystals and angel cards and understand what oracle cards were from a young age. And that gave me a sense of magic. I was also fortunate to grow up in the early 90s with books like Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings then came through the cinemas. I had movies of empowered blonde women, so that's very fortunate for me to be able to see myself through those lenses. And I do know that that was like a separation between cultures and races. However, to me, it was the first step for women to be seen in a different light. And then from there, look at the diversity of female leaders that we have on media and now through the world. So amazing. And I'm grateful to have grown up in that time where Elle Woods influenced me from Legally Blonde, where Barbie, she didn't have a boyfriend, but she got to do whatever she wanted, like being a vet and traveling to space, doing all this super cool stuff. And that kind of gave me, perhaps to some people, you might say that was unhealthy, but for me, feeling stuck and trapped in a very boxed and enclosed way of living, that gave me a lot of hope for freedom of who I could be. So then when I got older, in my teens, I went through my first dark night of the soul, where I had to go really inwards, lose myself to a high degree, lose the people around me, not have people who were in the awareness of what was going on for me. Looks like major depression, anxiety, and self-image problems for a teenage girl. However, the process internally was me going through an existential crisis, me exploring myself, me having to sit deeply in stillness and silence and boredom and having nature as my companion, and starting to see that where my expectations of the outside world I thought were going to meet me and support me in the ways that I needed failed. And from that place, in that failed place, the only place that I could get to continue was to go deep inside and find the light, some kind of light within me. I lost everything. I lost my education. I lost friends because I was moving around so much. My behaviors became an issue. I was becoming isolated. And I had to do something to reclaim myself. And so I was able to go back to school and put myself in school. So I have an awareness of what it's like to have education taken away from you, to be surrounded by a world where education is imposed. And it's a privilege, really, because there are places where education is not. And so I can't be in those cultural shoes. However, I have a slight awareness of what it's like to have to reclaim, have to see what the world was doing and what I wanted and reclaim that within myself. And when I reclaimed my education, I decided I was going to learn about myself and I'm going to set up foundations for my future. So I learned biology, psychology, and business studies. I did a little bit of chemistry, and it was a clash of personalities that didn't keep me there, and that's fine. Chemistry came to me in a different way later on, and I know that any of these things, any of these education and self-learnings doesn't have to come from school or university. It can come now through the internet and through so many different ways. And that's a big part of my mission, is how to make... Sorry, I cut my own hair. when I was younger, I was not allowed to have my hair cut in a fringe. Well, my mum got banned because she didn't do a great job, and so then I spent a long time trying to get hairdressers to do it. And there's my ADHD fussing around. Doesn't matter. But anyway, I cut my own hair, my own fringe. Because people wouldn't do when I asked them to cut my fringe. 7 hairdressers said no. And it's not perfect at the moment. Anyway, that's a bit of who I am. So when I studied myself and I was studying biology and how to how do our internal mechanisms actually work, I started to learn how to take care of myself, especially in a world where I wasn't exposed to healthy eating, because in those days, everybody ate meat. And if you didn't eat meat, you'd be sick. And there's another story around that later. But I learned about the body and nutrition, and I learned that I can eat things in a different way that is super nutritious. My mum did support me with this really well, and yeah, I haven't had issues with nutrition ever, and I get blood tested every 6 months to a year. And so I really recommend that to anybody who's listening, check yourself and get as much information as you can. And I know sometimes it's expensive, in a lot of countries it costs money. However, find the ways that you can. Even if it's just once off, it doesn't have to be as regular, because again, like, I know where I am, I'm very fortunate. But if you can find ways and you can find the right people to help you, go get as much information about yourself as possible, and then from there you can actually build your lifestyle and nutrition and diet from a healthy, knowledgeable place, not just copying what's off Instagram or social media or any social platforms or the internet. Everybody's different. Everybody needs to eat differently. I've been told that I have to eat meat because of my blood type. If I eat meat, I get sick. The only time I've had iron issues is actually when I did try to eat meat a couple of years ago for a month, and yeah, I was impacted because my body doesn't know how to work with meat, iron. So inform yourself. That's what I learned when I was younger, and that's what the light for me was. I studied psychology because I wanted to understand how to be a human in the world, and I wanted to understand what was going wrong with me. Why was there problems with me and not other people? The more you study psychology, the more you study about people, the more you realize everybody's got problems. So that was a huge relief. I found myself in contrast to a lot of what the psychologists were saying. And then I found myself in my younger years of experiences as to why I don't fit the norm. And then I later found through society that this is actually a gift and not a trauma. So I'm sitting here talking about my stuff in a way that is just natural to me. What's coming through me is coming through me in all of my ways. Yes, it's going to be all over the place. Hello, ADHD, and hello, just divine feminine flow and free speech and voice. Take what resonates, follow the thread how it resonates, stop it and pause it, do whatever you want. So once I discovered how empowering it was to learn about my mind and my body, I decided to continue studying down the psychology route at university. And alongside that, I was exposed more and more to spirituality. So firstly to Buddhism, then to shamanic practices such as sitting in the jungle of Central America drinking cacao, and understanding what shamanism is at that time on a very surface level, but walking between worlds and connecting to nature in a much deeper way. And both of them were teaching me to listen to myself and be guided by me, which was great because I wasn't able to follow anything that was being imposed upon me. I went through a very challenging time for myself, and probably for the people around me to witness me, in my late teens, my early 20s, as I was navigating the parameters of myself and expression and trying to figure out how to socially interact, and also self-medicating for my ADHD. I do not recommend this. I recommend you find so much healthier ways, which I found later on. But at that time, it only had alcohol for excess, and I drank too much because it downregulated my nervous system in trauma, and it somehow balanced my mind so I could go to school hungover the next day and actually be able to focus. I do not recommend it. My friends who were taking other medications were much better to focus without alcoholic issues. And then I learned about mindfulness. I learned about neurotransmitters and the substances in the plants and everything that we can take into our diet to balance the mind. And I learned about sitting in ADHD and creating a life that fits my way of thinking and being and acting. So I changed the way that I interact with the world by starting my own business and finding jobs that supported my autonomy in showing up to work. So instead of being contracted, instead of being employed, I'm contracted as a youth worker. And I know that there is a certain amount of hours that I can dedicate to that. I know there's a certain amount of hours that I can dedicate to my own personal business stuff and client sessions and client work. And there's been space that's been opened up as everything has balanced and settled, and also so much space in between for me to actually enjoy my life and do my self-work and my self-connection and self-growth and liberation. And now there's so much space for creativity. And I've been working through this, waiting for the time for me to feel in full trust that everything that I can speak to has actually landed and actually come to life in myself. Because we can go and read all these books and we can read people and their wisdom from 3,000, 2,000 years ago where life was different. And we can listen to the guys in Europe talk about the way of the mind, but how are we really able to trust all that or to fully know it unless we've experienced it? And so for some people it's much easier to grasp. For me, I had to dive into every single corner I could, and I've got so much more to go. But the fundamentals of coming into my joy, happiness, energy, sovereignty, creativity, and sense of self, beautiful sense of self, and sitting in all of that and claiming my power, my truth, and my power is allowing me to sit here and speak now. Because I was so trapped in myself, I was so far away from this, and I could only desire it. However many years ago that was, 15, 16 years ago. Unfortunately, within myself, that desperate need to be helped and loved and cared and supported, that guided me, helped me find the right people along the way. It helped me orientate my money and my resources and my time to learning and to experiencing and actually going through transformational processes. I'm not going to just call them healing, because it's so much more than healing. And we're in a bit of a cycle trap around being healed. Anyway, that's another video, I'm sure. So my transformational process is in self-development, self-awareness development. Where was I? So I focused all of that and focused all of my time and resources into that. So studying at uni was mostly for me. Continuing my studies beyond that and all my training was mostly for me, because I can go and receive a Reiki healing, but I actually wanted to learn about it and I wanted to have that experience within myself. I could go and learn about herbs and see a naturopath and learn about food, but I was already on that path anyway, and I want to have that information to hand, and I can work with myself so I can intuitively tune in whenever I want, and then I design and I flow with the food and the nutrients that are helping me. When I'm sick, I can attend to them, but as I've been working more and more deeply in these ways, the sickness has become less and less. And when I am sick, I know that there's a huge disruption and a distortion in my field and what's going on for me, or I've tapped into something that my body is picking up and sensing that's creating an illness, and I can attend to it really quickly and come back to regulations and self-center, homeostasis. So it's been my personal journey, and I've gone to many different dimensions, different realms. I've traveled through different pathways to meet myself over and over and to meet the world in different ways. I've traveled to like 45 countries or more so I can meet and experience or just tap in briefly to different cultures and societies, and I have friends from around the world, and it's a blessing and a gift. And so I sit in places having an awareness that we're all going through something different, and I've been a listener for a long time. I've been absorbing and listening, and I will always be that. And now there is a balance of talking and sharing as well. And alongside all of this, something in me had the desire to dedicate my career and my pathway to helping others. And yes, it's really common for people who have unhealed wounds and struggle to be seen and are looking for people to meet them in that space, to go and work in trauma or emotional jobs or caretaking jobs. But I went in with this lens of, how am I learning and growing in the mirror and relationship to the experiences of the people that I'm meeting and working with, and I'm listening to them as much as they're listening to me. And whilst I was trained and I was always able to hold the safe space, and I did my best not to interject unless it was necessary, I later reflected, deep critical reflection, and I took it back into myself. And how can this guide me and help me and support me? How can I learn and grow from these interactions? So actually dedicating my life to a industry and service that isn't valued monetarily and financially abundant and flowing, because most of the organizations have been charities or not-for-profits, same thing, and non-government organizations and government organizations, but non-government organizations that rely on government funding. So yeah, it was rewarding in so many different ways. Absolutely phenomenal. And so I learned the intrinsic value of supporting and working with community that extends far beyond money and finances. And for a very long time, especially when I moved to Australia as an adult and I started to take a look at myself and take care of myself and see the beauty of nature and my surroundings, I had a deep sense of abundance. And so I've lived in this balanced, harmonious, abundant way for a long time. And it's just allowed me to soften and to flourish and to be open and to be compassionate when I meet my edges and my resistances and my difficulties. I also, coming back to the spiritual side, learned a lot of myself through astrology, through numerology, through human design, through all these systems and reflections of self, along with Myers-Briggs and Ocean, and just as many reflection points as possible until I went deeper into the animal totems, into the numbers, and what am I seeing and what does that mean to me, and symbolism, deeper and deeper and deeper. And as a lot of people have a deep faith in a specific god, goddess, deity, high figure, God in Christianity, I will sit in the New Age belief of the universe and a consciousness that is weaved through the fabrics between everything. And that has been a guide and help, giving me faith beyond just myself and beyond the world that I'm seeing. And it's a place that, a space that I can turn to when I need help, when I need support, when I need connection, when I need a friend. And I see a lot of reflections and response, which is really beautiful. and I have been able to go deeper and further into these unusual and bizarre spiritual theories and philosophies and ideas that come from many different civilizations and cultures. And because I had that foundation of seeing the basics of spirituality overlaid with psychology from a young age, my mind is programmed or conditioned or landed in a pattern where I love to weave similarities and synchronicities and start to form together the union of everything. So that's a really beautiful way to see the world, and that's how I work with people. My perception of the external is mine and yours is yours, and I'm curious to hear how you perceive, because I understand what it's like to be heard without judgment, how deeply liberating it is to be met with curiosity and interest and conversation to unpack and go deeper. And so a lot of my work with people is in this framework. I'm here to learn about your spirit. And more so, I'm here to hold a space for you to learn about your spirit. It's not for my benefit, but I enjoy it. And I've done a lot of things. I've had a lot of experiences. I can meet people in a lot of different spaces in life. And who am I to judge? And I just keep evolving from that place, from non-judgment, from unconditional regard, from compassion, from presence, from curiosity. We can evolve and we can expand and we can move through and we can actually reach our goals and our desires, or we can sit back and just enjoy whatever it is that you want. Something that unlocked in me over this last 9-year cycle, particularly when I became conscious about becoming my full soul expression, because I met that on a traveling trip to Thailand in 2015. I was like, that's who I am. But then I went back inwards, and then I realized it was a process to come into the fullness of this. But what I realized is I love to laugh, I love to play, I love to make jokes, I love to have games, I love to unlock the world as if we're playing a computer game. And I love to be playful, and I love to help people work with those qualities of playfulness, of laughter, of fun, of interest, and amazement a lot of the time, to help transmute the feelings of trauma. Because I tell you what, when we can shift from suffering and poor me and victimhood, and I mean, we have to go into there, don't get me wrong, we have to meet those emotions. We have to realize the pain, and we have to realize any wrongdoings, and we have to see where we've been hurt and affected and impacted. We can't shut that away. We are humans. But when we can start to weave it out, we can start to hold the experience without the emotional stress and trauma and attachment, we can start to play with it and move it with laughter and love and kindness and fun. We can start to weave those experiences into our growth path. Who are we because of that experience? How did that help us grow? And what does it mean? And what can we do with it? Do you want to keep it in a box in the past? Or do you want to use that experience for something that can benefit yourself or other people around you, or the world, or whatever? So that's how I work with people. I weave everything in together, whatever feels and fits you, so we can sit in your framework of beliefs. I like to introduce new ideas and concepts. If it doesn't land, that's fine. I love to listen to your ideas and concepts and to go into those and weave them together and expand. And I like to meet the different parts of you. I like to speak to the pains and the wounds and create a safe space for them to be held and loved. I also love to talk about things beyond just the human experience. So we go into energetics, we go into alternate realities, past life stuff, parallel life stuff, multidimensional experiences, whatever it is with you, however that fits and feels. It's worked for me. It's helped me know myself, and it's helped clear narratives that I couldn't quite access within this lifetime. So yeah, there's a lot to it. And I love to do this in conversation. I love to do this with your experiences. I love to go into what your experiences are, and we can make meaning and sense and make your experiences really powerful. Or we can have experiences together. And I'm a yoga teacher, meditation facilitator, restorative breathwork facilitator, nature guide, work with different herbs and plants and mushrooms and foods of variety, to work with their spirits and their consciousness, work with symbolism, animal totems, spirit stuff. And I love to do inner world journeys. Okay, so this is my actual favorite thing. I love to help people go inside and work within the inner landscape and have transformational processes. Some people say energy alchemy, some people say like quantum attunement, whatever it might be. It's emotional stuff, it's somatic, it's emotional, it's psyche, it's belief work, it's whatever it is that comes to you, parts work, past life stuff, shamanic connection, whatever it is that comes up, we are with it. And I love to guide people to go all the way through there and have super profound experiences. And this is the most potent aspect of the work that I do with people, and this is why my work doesn't really sit in the realms of let's talk for an hour every week for the next 5 years. I might come in for an experience, let's go deep, let's journey, and then let's come out, put an integration plan together, let's make sense of it all, let's make some real physical shifts, so we're grounding the internal to the physical, and then set you on a path and a new trajectory. And that can take a lot of people just one experience. Some people want to do it for like a month or a couple of months. Some people want to go really deep and learn it themselves, and so we go longer and we do more of a mentorship. So yeah, it's really powerful, and this comes up in so many aspects of self-work that I don't really have a name for it, because it meets so many different things. It's not quite hypnosis yet. We go into a deep theta state, so deeply relaxed, but you're still conscious within that space because we're conversing. There is elements of shamanic journeying. There is internal family systems work. There's like, I don't know, name it and we meet it. Quantum work, all these different spaces, they all come together. So I'm not here to label it. I'm here to guide and show you a pathway inwards that's super magical in my terms. Immediate felt experiences occur afterwards, and then life shifts and moves from that internal experience because of those internal experiences. So then I hold integration sessions, which just supports people who need to be guided along the way, and they're the shorter experiences, which are really cool. So all of this work I have done myself. Oh, and I weave in like light language. Weave in light language, recoding with the hands and the energy work, Reiki, dropping into different frequencies. I work with colors, I work with vibrations, I work with songs and music. Frequency music, but also the melodies and rhythms of music and the words of music. We work with spoken word and energy within our sessions. There's a lot of layers that we go through, which is really cool. and we do active stuff, and we do stillness. And I can guide people onto a pretty accelerated path to know themselves and to feel a profound sense of connection and excitement for being who they are. And that's pretty much me. I also honor myself and the work that I do by focusing a lot of my time and taking care of myself. I have massage therapists, I have body workers, I have my own mentors and spiritual guides, and even a psychotherapist. And I make sure that I keep myself regulated and clean as possible. I have my rituals for cleansing, and I guide people in those as well. And the exciting thing that I'm going to finish off with now is that I'm building a website, innerglowawakening.com. It's kind of coming together, but there are all these different realms of information that have been put out there, from herbal materia medica, which is like a codex of herbs and their health benefits, and flower essences and mushrooms and medicinal mushrooms. And there's oracle cards that I've created. There's tarot card readings, like you just type it in and it does it for you, and then has a reflection and a whole thing. And you can even get like processes and practices to help you integrate everything. There's further consciousness places, there's yoga information, there's videos to come and some meditations, there's music to tap into. There's lots of stuff around minds and the psyche and self-development. And the really cool thing about this all is if you join the member portal, which is free because that's where I'm at the moment, is that when you put in information on the back end, it will be stored on a secure platform. It's all secure and safe. But the information is then picked up by the secure AI, and it brings everything together, and so then it reflects back to you where you're at in your journey, and you can make like spiritual pathways and like to keep you on track, including if you're using like a wellness tracker, and it can pull out all the resources from the website and show you what you can use at the time, and it can direct you where to go on the website. Just based off things like your daily journaling, your affirmations, your oracle card readings, your interest in herbs. And yes, I got all these reflective tools that helps you to go deeper into the awarenesses. So you're not just printing off a worksheet or being given a conversation. You can go away and you can go through these processes, and you can have true reflections back to you that help you continue your journey without needing to tap into people. There is also a strong emphasis of working with practitioners to hold you in the spaces, and that's developing as I introduce more practitioners to it, and the practitioners will be able to work and weave in their magic to the website too. So it's going to just expand in all the information. And yeah, it feels like a new level of integrating AI and self-development, and I'm really excited about it. And I'm a novice when it comes to technology, so I'm still developing it slow and steadily, but I love playing around with it. It's helped me through this massive time of transformation that I've recently gone through, kept me guided and supported and feeling comfortable in between sessions with working with practitioners where I've needed their support. So yeah, it's very integrative and holistic and multidimensional, and it's a tool that you can pull up on your device wherever you are, and there are free aspects to it, and then there's your private membership members portal where everything is stored and secure, so you can use it as a diary on the go, or as your oracle card reading on the go, or whatever you need. It's got astrology that I'm working on at the moment, dream journaling interpretation, symbolism interpretation, helps you map out the different systems of self-awareness. This kind of goes on. There's a whole heap around compassion, what compassion is, and how to take care of yourself when you work in, when you're exposed to vicarious trauma or compassion fatigue roles in society. So there's a whole nurturing aspect too. And yeah, I'm very excited about that. So this is my first video to introduce me. I'd love to know about you. I'd love to connect. I'd love you to support me and help me know that people are listening and tuning in by subscribing or commenting, liking. This is my goal for the year as we move into some powerful energies, is to show up and share more of myself and to start bringing forward everything that's been in creation for the last 17 years through into the world in the different forms and spaces that I've been learning and tuning into quite deeply. So it's lovely to meet you. And I hope you have a beautiful day or night wherever you are. And I hope that if you're going through the difficulties and the challenges that so many people are, that there is something within the stuff that I share that can support you along the way, whether that's hope, whether it's just a video that might be a useful resource. I do have a lot of meditations on Insight Timer and on my website that can be helpful, and it might just be a guiding light towards the end of what you're going through, because so many people are going through such a difficult time, and going through my own journey, coming to the other end of the suffering. I can only wish and contribute to the change to alleviate suffering for those who are. That's from my heart, my soul. And I've spoken it, I've set it into the fabrics of consciousness, even more so because now it's out there through this platform. Sending you big hugs and wishes. Much love.